Hello and welcome to World Traveler Cooking, where we cover interesting foods and interesting cuisines from around the world. Today we're going to make an Iranian soup or stew called Abgoosht. Sometimes this is just translated as broth if you put it through Google Translate. And there are a few different ways that this could be served, depending on your preferences. Today I'm going for the low effort version, but I will describe the higher effort version as well. Our ingredients are, we have about a cup of dry beans, somewhere between half a cup and a cup of dry white beans that I've soaked overnight, so now they're much more than that. Same with garbanzo beans. 500 grams of beef, 2 onions. It said 2 tomatoes, but I have no idea how big tomatoes are in Iran, so I chose 3. 2 potatoes, and then some, tomato paste, and then we will season this with salt, pepper, and turmeric. So we will also have a bunch of water, of course. I'm going to start with 1 liter, but the metrics are a little bit funny, so it could be more. And then of course we have some oil for frying, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to sear my meat. If I have to, I will work in batches. I don't think that oil is quite hot enough, but I'll leave 1 piece in there until it's sizzling nicely, and then I'll start adding more. We don't want to overcrowd our pan because we definitely want to sear the meat, but if you put too much in, of course, you'll end up with liquid in the pan, pot, and we don't want that. So I'm going to work in batches, and I'm going to do about half and half. Once our meat is nicely seared, we are going to add our beans. And we'll fry these for a few minutes while we boil our water. So at this stage, I'm adding my peeled tomatoes, my peeled onions whole, and then I'm adding the liter of water that's already boiling. And I'm going to salt this down a bit. And then we will let this simmer on low heat for about 2.5 hours. So now it's been about 2 hours. The meat's very tender. The beans are tender, so I'm going to remove these onions. And you can remove the tomatoes too, I think. The explanation for why will take a little bit of time, but you'll find I'll get to that as we get to the serving point. Basically, the issue is that traditionally this can be served one of 2 ways. Either you can take all of this stuff out except for the onions, which we would mash right now, and run it through a meat grinder and serve it to the side of the broth, or you can serve it like a soup, and we're going to do the soup form today. So because of that, I'm actually going to include the tomatoes in the mash. Then we're going to skim off as much of the fat on the top as we can. There's really not much fat though. If you can find any fat that you can skim off, just skim it off. And then I'm going to use an immersion blender to blend this up. You could just use a fork to mash it if you want, but I figure I'll just use an immersion blender, and then I'll be back. In the meantime, I'm going to add the potatoes and turn up the heat a little bit. And just let these boil a little bit while I start blending everything up. Back in goes the mash. And I'm just going to stir it up a little bit. Next up, we prepare the tomato paste to go in. So for the tomato paste, I'm going to go ahead and heat up a pan that's going to be effectively non-reactive. In this case, I have a carbon steel pan, but it is one that is very well seasoned. And once this is hot, I will add oil and about half of this small can of tomato paste to start with. I'll also add my turmeric at that point. So this is starting to get hot. Add a bit of oil, a couple tablespoons. Add this, and we're going to cook this until it starts to become brown. But we're also going to add maybe like a teaspoon eyeballed, maybe a little more of turmeric. And now, once the tomatoes really started to either really darken or brown, then we're just going to add it and stir it in. And then we should be good to serve this in a few minutes. So, and I lied. Last stage is basically we're going to let this reduce for another 30 minutes and then we will serve. So, time to set the timer and we'll be back in 30 minutes to serve this up. At this point we should also adjust our seasoning, so taste the, go ahead and taste the broth, see if it needs, you definitely need some more salt, pepper. And so, as I mentioned before, this can be served by taking, basically running everything through a strainer or a colander. The broth goes into bowls and everything else goes through a meat grinder and serve it on the side. Or you can serve it with a bit of meat and potatoes and beans in every bowl with some of the broth. So this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and take my taste test after some photos, and yeah, looking great. And now for the taste test. First I'm just going to taste a little of this broth. Broth is really rich. It's not quite like any broth I've had before. Now I'm going to try a bit like the, you know, you get the turmeric, you get the tomatoes, the onions, but they blend together in a sort of surprising way. So now I'm going to try a bit of the beans and veggies. That just makes me smile. Very, very, very nice. It's almost like a perfect combination of stuff with beans, you know. Now I'm going to try a bit of the meat. Wow. The flavors of the beef are really strong here. It's not like, you know, when I was just trying the stuff without the meat, you could taste that there was a bit of beef broth in it, but the meat is like really flavorful beef. This is really delicious. It's really nice. Now, if you like this content, you'd like to see more of it, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have anything you'd like to say about this video, love to hear from you. Recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.